I'm trying for this like organic moment and this, with this spot about, he's asked me to marry him and I'm looking and he's not even looking at me. And after we finished, I said, I got to admit, this was my first voiceover job. He says, I knew you were a virgin because, you were just wanting to make the contact.
Sometimes as actors, like the branding, you're like, feel like a cow or something. We're like just branded and you're like, it doesn't feel good.
Wrong choices, strong wrong choices are better than no choices.
No, we're being ambitious.
Creative souls of women, there's a lot we have yet to say. We should have each other's backs. And when you have that productive environment where you're all creating something together, it's powerful. There's just going to be a brighter rainbow coming out.
This is a slogan for Diane. If you're working with her, you turn into a rainbow.
So let's dive right in. I'm going to introduce you. Welcome aboard, dear Diana. It's really nice to have you. Thank you for sparing the time. And Diana is an actress, a director and producer from New York. She's been acting since childhood and pursued her MFA in acting. She transitions to New York after graduation, where she began auditioning and navigating the competitive industry. She also is an educator. She teaches the classes in New York Film Academy, both in New York and in Florence. And she recently has an experience of directing, also with New York Film Academy. So we'd like to ask you how your journey into acting began. What was, maybe what was an actress who inspired you, or what's your story with acting? Why acting?
Thanks. First of all, thank you for having me and for asking me to do this. It's funny, when I was home for the holidays, I went through some old scrapbooks and pictures, and I remember my first play. It was in the Girl Scouts, and I was like in the second grade, so I was very, very young, and my mom was the Girl Scout leader, and she wrote this play, and and we would see a lot of theater, and then I would eventually take classes on the weekend at our local youth theater program. But I loved watching TV. Like I was always really into, and still am, the Carol Burnett show. I was obsessed with it, and just recently pulled out my old DVDs and started watching them actually over the holidays. But I also I would memorize a lot of movies by heart, like The Wizard of Oz, and became really obsessed with those types of shows, programs that would come on every year. And then I did theater in high school. And when it came time to pick a major, like what I wanted to do, I thought, well, I was kind of fortunate that what I liked and what I was good at were both the same thing. So I went on to get 2 degrees in acting, yeah. But it was always theater. Yeah, it was always theater that was so captivating to me. It still is, the live experience. I love theater.
Yes, there's nothing like it. It's transformative experience. I fully agree. Yes.
Yeah, it's so exciting. But I guess that's kind of where it began. I knew that when I finished my undergraduate degree, when I got my BFA in acting in Ohio at Miami University, I knew that I wasn't quite ready to just jump right into New York City. I knew and felt that I wanted more training. So I was fortunate. I went to Rutgers University, Mason Grove School of the Arts, and got my MFA there. So I felt very much ready. Though when I left the program and moved into New York, I felt like I knew how to, the basics of a technique, and I kind of knew I knew what was in my wheelhouse of things I could do.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't so skilled at auditioning. Now a lot of programs in your last year of school teach you audition techniques and prepare you for the business of acting. We did have a showcase where we met with agents and managers, but the nuts and bolts of auditioning wasn't taught so much in the program. Many programs, I think, at that time. So that I had to kind of, figure that out, which is a completely different beast entirely, right?
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
It is, and that's
It is, Eva.
Yeah, I do. That is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I want to ask you. Is like, how were you then? Because now you're an established actor and living in New York. Like, so many actors want to be in New York. How were you then able to juggle it and navigate it? Like, what was your breakthrough? When did it come? Is there a certain time where you felt like this is now my breakthrough? I have found,
No, I can't say I had an aha moment, but there were moments where I would feel really solid in the preparation, in going into an audition. Of course, all of this was before self-taping, right? So I would feel very, like I knew, like I made some choices and felt strongly about going into the room. But it still took some time to leave the room and feel like I did it. It's hard to let that go after you audition, and I would sometimes get hung up on, as you take the elevator down, you get hung up on, why didn't I do that? And then I eventually you just have to learn how to let that all go and approach it as auditioning is the job. And that's like your little mini performance, if you will. And if you get the job, then, all the better, then you're on holiday. But there was no aha moment. I think I still struggle with the preparation a little bit. And that just comes from doing so many things across the board. You get that audition, you get the call and you're like, all right, here are the sides, I got to work on it. And sometimes there's, to be honest, there are moments where it's like, oh, really, I got to work on this tonight. When I get home at 11 o'clock and go on tape and I'm exhausted. And then once you get everything set up, right, then it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't want to stop it. But initially that thought of a lot of setup that goes into it,
So I feel it's like with everything in life, it takes just this one step and then it builds on the momentum and keeps you going. But I wanted to ask you something. Sorry.
Yeah, I want to dive into this. I think this is so interesting, obviously, as an actor. And is that, so this is self-taught, like the auditioning process was just something you learned by doing. You went through it and you were like, okay, that was not the way to do it. And then you just knew the next time to...
Yeah, I think so. The theater auditioning, I felt very confident, but on camera took a little bit of time for me. Doing too much, toning it down, and sometimes getting caught up in how I might look. You go into a room and you'd go on tape for film or TV, and there's no playback. You don't ever get a chance. You don't ever know what you're looking at. Now it's different with self-tape and with the equipment. And though there's a trap in there too, because if you self-tape and spend hours and hours, then you have to make the decision of what you're going to submit, and there's power in that. As long as if you can self-direct, I think, and put yourself on tape, and you know what you're doing, and you can coach yourself and know when it's good, know when it's right. And then you have to, the viewing of the playback, that can take hours as well. And submitting the right one can be sometimes a difficult process when they're just so little things that might be different at that point.
Yeah.
Do you usually ask for someone's opinion, like a trusted friend or maybe a director, or do you make this decision all by yourself?
Most of the time I make, most of the time I make the decision on my own. Although my husband, if I just end up being like, okay, do we want, which is better, 35 or 2? Like which one? What's the number that you think is, if it gets to that point? But no, I usually make it myself, I think.
No, there's a power in that, I think.
Yeah, and I miss being in the room. Sometimes that because you don't really get there until you're called back. Very much that first round is self-tape, but when you're in the room and you get live feedback, that's
And someone to
that's a
work
good
off,
thing.
right?
Yeah, someone to work off of, and in and out.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because even that has changed. It's like we have the self-tapes and then you have, like we have now over Zoom, you have a callback. Like it's not until I think maybe the third or something where they start going like, okay, this is getting somewhere, let's call them in. So this is a medium that we, that actors and we actors really have to get comfy with, this self-directing. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's with the self-tape, it's here to stay. And even just in working on voiceover work, you have to learn how to edit as well. You have to learn how to figure out, COVID kind of, the epidemic shifted us into that self-efficiency.
It's true. So you have, we're here talking about you as an actor and with, getting yourself on the map and auditioning and all that. And now you said COVID. Is that where you started with voiceover, or have you been doing it for some time?
Yeah, I started in voiceover, I guess 22, 23 years ago. When I had my first child, I kind of was like, okay, let's move into this medium. And met someone, and I always was really, really interested in it. I took some classes, and just started moving forward. I worked with one agency for that many years, and it's a different business, My first voiceover job, it was a jewelry store. It was like I think it was a radio spot, and we were taping it, in person, the two of us in the booth, and we're standing across from each other, and my lines, I'm giving all of my lines directly to him, right? And he's just looking down in the copy, and I'm trying for this like organic moment, and this, with this spot about, he's asked me to marry him, and I'm looking, and he's not even looking at me. And after we finished, I said, I got to admit, this was my first voiceover job. He says, I knew you were a virgin because, you were just wanting to make the contact. And he goes, we just shut down and look at the copy. I'm like, okay, all right. I know, but I needed the contact with him,
Yeah.
You're like, look at me.
Yes.
What is this
about? Me to marry you. Why can't I have some eyes here,
I want to see you.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting, but I think maybe there is like more than one way to do it. Do you? I think maybe for some works to make a contact, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember from the film that we shot, we were doing some voiceover, and I obviously am a curious person. I was watching Eva very, very precisely, and I think she did make an eye contact, and I think it's an important part because it brings the emotion and this vulnerability, and it's raw and it's natural, organic. So
yeah.
I did do that. I think your colleague at that time would have been the same with me, because I do that when I'm doing voiceover, and if I really work off and give a lot, because I think it's just, you know, particularly when it comes to our film, with all the emotions. I mean, commercials, it depends on what you're doing, obviously, but that was for the film. So I couldn't be just like, so today, that wouldn't have worked.
The lines.
Yeah, just the lines, like, this is what she wrote, so let's read it now. But, you know, it depends on what you're doing, obviously. But I did, that's true, Valeria, I did.
That's beautiful to witness. Okay, now I really want to shift the conversation into, because obviously auditioning and, you know, the sites and everything, that was what I learned from you. And we met in Florence, in a beautiful city, at New York Film Academy not earlier this year, actually last year.
Yes.
That it's very difficult, it's very confusing now that it's in the past. But yeah, that was a very transformational experience overall for me. And also meeting you and observing you and your teaching style and the way how your teaching philosophy, I think this is what it's at its core. You can feel it, you can be inspired by it and be transformed. So what do you create around you? And you were teaching us directing actors. And also, because there were two groups, there were directors and actors, filmmakers and actors. And for the actors, you were teaching acting. And I feel like at the core of your teaching philosophy is this idea of establishing an environment that everyone feels safe, feel respected, feel valued, heard, and seen. And that was something that was very empowering. Was it something that came organically to you, or was it more something that you've learned along the way because you probably were treated differently when you were kind of, you know, learning the craft? So how did this philosophy came about?
Yeah, I didn't learn it from someone. And I can't say it was a reaction to something else. Maybe I'll get into that a little bit, but to me, I think that, and maybe it's also because I'm a mother, but I feel like people will do their best work if they feel inspired and nurtured and, like you said, safe. It's important to me that my students feel seen and respected, and that there is a safe space so that you can explore your creativity. I think that's just like you would, start a garden and plant a seed. You get the soil ready, you nurture it, you make it feel like it's supported. And I think students will do their best work. We as people do our best work when we feel like we're supported. Yeah. I've worked in some, in other environments, in the corporate world, and, some of the best supervisors, bosses that I've had are those who have allowed me to be myself, who would, I could share my ideas. It felt like a collaboration, a partnership, and I think that brings out the best work in people. No one wants to work in a strict, fear-based environment.
Exactly. You have so many different tools, and you always encouraged everyone to to have an open mind about everything. So you basically had different approaches and different tools that you offered to everyone, and then you said, put it in your tool case, toolbox, and then see if it's gonna work. It's gonna work. If it's not, you never know. Maybe one day you will look back and it's something that will help you. So this is really beautiful to see how you found different ways to kind of connect to different people and different actors and different creative people and kind of stimulate us, but at the same time, give us the support and give us this balance. That's really great. I still remember, I already mentioned that there was this one workshop that we did all together with, as like us students and you as teachers. And there was one scene where everything seemed to be going out of balance. I think the emotions were flying high. People were getting like stressed. It was this energy, this energetic kind of pull in the room. And you were speaking very quietly, very kind of respectfully to the actors. And it seemed to create around them this protective shield. So they felt, that they're taken care of. And I think this is so important in the industry as well. Wouldn't you agree to treat the actors and the fellow creatives with this respect and kindness and give them time to bring their best performance? This is very, very inspiring. That was very inspiring for me anyway. So thank you for this.
Well, I remember that moment. Yeah, the emotions were flying high, right?
Exactly, yes.
And they were, and imagine if you inflate that up where you are on a major set, a big job, lots of people, lots of money, 4 a.m, and everyone's behind schedule, and no one's eaten, and everybody's exhausted, right? So it can continue to spiral, right? Unless you have to kind of bring it down. But at that moment, though, I remember there was something happening between the two actors, and of course they're like sponges. They're going to feel all that energy around them. I was just able to step in and make sure that they were not absorbing that, and they were staying focused on what they had to do. You got to try to, and it's also good to talk to the characters. I could say to the actor, are you okay? You need anything, right? How are you? Just take a breath, but then you can shift, you can keep them in character by talking to the characters.
That felt groundbreaking. I remember how we did like hot seat, and we were experimenting in class, and I think it was Maya, and she fully transformed just because you started asking her questions as a character instead of as her Maya. Yeah. It was interesting to witness. Yes.
Yeah. I talk a lot about ownership, and having ownership over across the board, ownership over the character, which kind of comes, I think, a little bit later. But, ownership, I'm an actor, and this is my technique, so I need to have ownership over what am I doing? Where am I going with this? What are my beat changes? What decisions am I making? What discoveries am I making? Ownership over the words, right? Memorizing the lines. Ownership over where you are and how you feel about things. And then after that's all kind of established and you're memorized, I have this exercise that I call the hot seat, where the actor gets into a chair and we start asking the character questions, and they speak from the character's point of view. And of course, you're asking questions that it has nothing to do with the scene or the monologue, but they're able to respond, I guess as truthfully as possible under the circumstance, as if they were that character. And you leave that exercise with more ownership over how they think and their backstory, and it just adds to the work.
It creates more layers. That's the beauty.
Yeah,
when you're able to do
layers.
Create more layers. May I ask you, are you working with certain methods or a method, or how do you work as a coach?
I was,
and as
a
an actor.
coach. As an actor, I was trained in Meisner, I mean, as a coach, as a teacher, I don't teach Meisner, but of course that, I mean, I don't teach the technique of Meisner, but there are so many things that cross over. You know, you still have to always ask and answer the same questions, no matter who you are, even if you are established or you're just learning how to act, right? You still have to do the job. But you know, and Valeria mentioned the toolkit. You know, I don't have a particular technique I teach. I think I just also, I teach what's in front of me, and I try to bring out what, you know, their own unique voices, I think is important. And that, you know, every piece of art you look at, every teacher who teaches you, every experience you have in relationships, good and bad, every every bad director, every bad actor you've worked with, right? All those experiences go into your toolkit, because you draw from those things. They help you relate to things. I mean, I have certain things I teach, I think, at for actors who've never acted before. You know, you have to start at a different level. But there's no particular method that I teach. Yeah.
Okay, so
I draw from everywhere.
it sounds, because I coach too, and it sounds, the way I work is very intuitively, and I feel that that's the way you work, that you can feel the human being in front of you and feel what they need in that moment. And you have taught well, I know. I haven't worked with you, but I've worked with Valeria, and she learned from you, and being with her on set was magical. She held the space in such a beautiful way for me as an actress, and I felt safe. I knew I could let go and just fully feel and fully be there. And I could trust her. And didn't matter how far I went or how deep because sometimes you go so deep that you don't know is it safe or not, because you're very vulnerable. And she was there. So she definitely, and she told me that. She was like, "This is Diana. I've learned so much from her."
Well, I have no doubt,
really did.
Valeria. Valeria,
did.
you can do many things, Valeria. So
thank you for saying
I
that.
can't take credit for that.
Yeah. So it was beautiful. I have to say that it was really beautiful. So the two of you meet in Italy, Firenze. Florence.
Yes.
But your base is still New York. That is your...
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I am based in New York.
Okay.
I'm based in New York. I've lived here for 30 some years. I've lived here a while. I've always wanted to live in New York as a little girl. I don't know, it was movies. I always knew I wanted to come to New York. Yeah, I love it here.
So you mainly teach at the New York Film Academy in New York?
Yes.
Got it. And then
I teach there.
You've been teaching for how long? Have you been teaching at the New York Film Academy?
Oh, at the Academy, it'll be almost 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, just under 5 years.
Amazing.
And then I've been privately coaching for, on and off, for many years. I used to have clients years ago, and I kind of worked on some students who just needed courage, who maybe were good at going into public speaking. I love working with kids. I've been working with kids for a while, there's a local theater program here called the Riverdale Children's Theater, and my daughter was in the program for a while, and then I would occasionally, annually kind of work with them on preparing, whether they were 8th grade trying to get into performing arts high schools, or college or high school seniors trying to get into performing arts colleges. That whole audition process can be very painful when you have to select monologues and learn how to work on them and present them. And, a lot of, these are very talented young kids who haven't really had the training yet, but know that they want it. So they need to, learn how to present themselves with the monologues and the interviewing process as well. And just taking my own daughter through all of that. I've enjoyed, I really like working with kids. I do. In addition to college students at NYFA. And my private students are anywhere from, young students, 7th, 8th graders to, adults, professional working adults who are out there in the world working. There's value in, especially working one-on-one with students. Maybe someday I'll actually get some group classes together, but the one-on-one I really enjoy, in person and on Zoom,
Yeah, I think it creates a deeper connection and trust. Because, of course, I think with kids, they're so open. They're so open with their minds, with their energy. They're not yet spoiled. That's why, it's the best. You can see just what's going on there. And show it to you. Yeah,
and they're
it's
so
beautiful.
brave. They're brave, Sometimes some don't have any fear. And so they just jump right in, and they're so eager, and you can shape them, and their desire, their hunger is right there. They don't have all that congestion in their head,
May I ask you something about that? I have a friend, she's a director, and she just asked this question last week. And I don't work with children. I coach adults and actors. But she asked exactly that. She was like, as this would be the first time her directing kids, like what she would have to consider. Is there anything you could recommend, or is there like some steps, something that she could that could help
She's directing a play?
No, it's for a film. It's a film.
For a film. Well, depending on how extensive and how many children there are, I find that sometimes getting the blocking down first.
Okay.
So that kids kind of have a frame, anyone, not just children, you have a framework and you know where you're going, so you can actually visualize, this is what I have to do. I have to enter the room, excuse me, go through all of this, the dialogue, this, and then I leave the room. Me personally, I work that, like I need to know the timing of things. So establishing that, I think, is helpful to have that framework. And I don't know, doing whatever you can to bring out their imagination and making them not freeze. If they're not used to having that, the camera in the room, and all the people and the lights and everything else that goes with it,
Yeah, what I liked when you say, think about that they don't freeze and all the people around, what I think would be maybe good is that just have those that really have to be there in that moment, because sometimes the crews are really big and you don't need every single one there while you're really, doing the take. Is there anything else you have experience with, like what could help them to not freeze, to not...
I think reinforcing that, making sure that you're really just talking to people, right? Yes, I think bringing improv also helps a lot as well. If you are not so tight on some of the dialogue, or playing, rehearsal, rehearsal elsewhere, and then coming on to set is very, very helpful. So that sense of play is still there. Putting it in your own words at first, and then saying the dialogue is often very helpful.
What I would love to talk to you about, and I want to ask you, I'm very, very thrilled, because I know you coach, and you, I say coaching when it's actors that have, studied acting, and then I would say call it teaching, because you do that too when it's someone that hasn't and it's just starting off. And what I would love to know is then when you started, you said you didn't have any teaching or coaching, nobody had coached you around auditioning. And but I assume that's something we do now more, but that's something you definitely do. How do you assist the actors, with the auditioning? And are you then working with them? Is it for the on camera, or is it for theater? Or I assume you do both because you are in both fields.
Yeah. Well, I always start with, it has to start with the script. It has to start with the story. And a lot of the scenes, the audition sides are not that long. So I think step one is always looking at, what do I have to accomplish here, right? And let's assume it's a well-written scene. So if that is the case, it's going to have major beats in it and changes in it. If it's kind of flatlined, then I think you need to put major changes in it, right? Yes. So I always focus a lot on look always for any discoveries your character makes, any decisions your character makes, and make the most out of it during those beat changes. Because I think that's what is going to differentiate, that's what's going to separate you from, that's going to make you a smart actor, right? And more interesting to watch. That's going to set you aside. And sometimes it's easy, because a lot of these young actors, or anyone, will want to just kind of ride this wave of emotion, I'm going to show that I can do this and get all worked up, and and then it just, okay, great, you can do that, but that just flatlines it. So you have to show you're a smart actor. Yeah. And that you understand that you can take something somewhere and make strong choices, even if it's the wrong choice. Good wrong choices, strong wrong choices are better than no choices at all. I really think that. So it starts there, and I kind of always like to look at what's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Where do you go? Because you don't want to end the same place that you start. Then I talk about emotional preparation the moment before, like where are you? And that helps set up a lot of the discoveries in the first, or whenever the beats come, or the logic is important in that, are you just coming in the room to get something, or are you coming in the room to address something with someone? When you have a beat change, your action changes. So I talk a lot about help them in those audition sides. Make sure that they are focused on what are they really doing. I talk about point of view, right? What's your point of view about the other person, and of course what you're talking about. I encourage you to memorize, right? But sometimes it's good to also just hold the sides in your hand, but memorize anyway. And then the setup. I talk about the setup. Your sight lines, where you're actually looking, and all of that.
So when you're talking about setup, you're obviously talking about for self-taping.
Yeah.
Where they have to take care about where their eye line is, and if there's someone else in the room, to place that human being somewhere. Yeah.
Put a mark on the wall, or just kind of know that that's the corner of the window, and then that's then my father's over here. But live auditioning is a lot of it is about bringing that energy in the room. The minute you walk in the room, your audition starts, really, and having good energy when you walk in is so important, because it's not just, do I want to hire you because I think you're the right person for the role? I'm also hiring you, do I want to spend 3 weeks on location with you? What are you, bringing
this
in?
This is so important, really. I remember we were doing auditions at NIFA with you and with Federico, the other professor, Federico Spiazzi. And it was about how the person walks into the room, how they position themselves. It's immediately, you can read this energy. If someone is nervous and, goes on the mark and then start. And it's almost like it takes them a while to really start to bring the performance. It was very curious. We obviously also took part as directors into that process. That was completely out of my comfort zone. It was completely unexpected, but I think it's really good how it's organized, that you can actually kind of feel both, shoes. You can understand how it's from both sides. So you understand what the actor feels. So you kind of be more compassionate maybe with them once you're auditioning yourself. And the actors understand what directors are looking for, because it's kind of obvious, even if you're sitting on the sidelines and see the person walking in, being nervous, being kind of very closed with their body language and, looking down. So that's something that is just not, doesn't bring the right start. Yeah, but I really like how you mentioned that, because we all hear those big stories from, industry professionals, from big actors who are great performers, but not so great as people.
Terrible at auditioning.
I feel it's very, I think it's very important to have someone around who you can, really enjoy spending time, and who won't hurt other people, who won't bring their own sort of energy. So I really love that you point that out.
Well, you also have to think, and I say this a lot in the classroom, you have to think like you're on the other side of the table, right? So if I'm auditioning 6 hours today for these 2 parts, I'm sitting here, I can't wait till we get to lunch because I got to make a couple of phone calls. I like working with these people. I have a good reader next to me. And then one after the other, they come in. And at the end of the day, you lay out all the headshots and you look at them, and that's another reason to make sure your headshot looks like you. But you look at these pictures and go, I really liked them. And yes, of course, you probably have a yes, no, and a maybe pile, right? But you want to remember that feeling that you felt when they walked in the room. And by the way, speaking of that, if you ever get a chance to be a reader, you should, because it's fascinating. It's a lesson that you can't pay for, right? You're hired for the reading, to be a reader, or you do it for free, and you get this experience of watching actors coming in and out. And after they leave the room, they talk about them, right? So it's just it's an incredible experience if you get the chance to do it. You'll learn so much.
What is your opinion on coming into the room in the character? Like, because there are two, some say walk into the room with the energy. What I'm saying is like you have embodied the character, and that there are others that say no, you come into the room as yourself, and then when it is action, you start acting. What is your opinion?
I say I believe you come into the room as yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you should have a technique, right? I mean, you're gonna kind of hopefully give a hint in what you're wearing of the character, not a costume, but just a hint. You don't want to throw anybody off if you're auditioning for something and you come in looking completely different. But you should learn to just, before you begin, take a moment and have your moment before right there prepared for you. Mm-hmm. Because if you're on set, you do take after take after take after take. You're going right back to one. And that crafting, smart actors know, right before this begins, I pulled these two things, what do I want? What's going on? And you go right into it. Mm-hmm. That's what I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I believe. I think you should come in as yourself initially.
I think what you're saying is also beautiful, because you said, like, give a hint, as in mm-hmm. don't come in like dressed totally opposite from the human being you're going to be playing. But that is a beautiful way to do it. That's like a combination mm-hmm. of where sometimes someone is like, you have to walk in as the character, and the others are like, no, you walk in as yourself, and you mm-hmm. are yourself. And I think that is a beautiful way to do it, is like wear the outfit, as in give a hint of it.
Yeah.
Because then immediately people will get that feeling and see like, oh, would that fit you? That you could be that character, and you can be yourself, which is beautiful. Because as you said, we want to be with, beautiful, motivating, fun human beings on set. We want to have this nice environment and safe environment and fun.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a very, very good way to see it. I like it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to steal it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do that now. I love it. But I think that goes into also what I wanted to ask you very much about is the branding as an actor. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about branding.
Yeah.
A lot of actors, I'm one of you guys, we hate it, we love it. It's like, it's all over there. And people are confused, and then you're like, you don't know what to do. Then all these programs are out there that you can pay for to learn to brand yourself, and a lot of them start with ask 10 people about your da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So how do you
I've heard
do
that
it?
too.
Yes. I know that you are very good at that. You have also, made sure about your self-branding, how you've, worked with it as an actor yourself. So how do you teach that? Is that a part of when you're coaching?
Well, I work with a lot of students who are just beginning. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, they're young.
Okay.
And very often they'll come in because they have to find a couple of monologues. So I start off with a discussion of like, well, how do people describe you? What kind of roles do you like to play? Mm-hmm. And that way, if I'm looking for material with them, for them, that they are finding material that is suitable for them, appropriate for them, things that they would be cast in.
May I ask you in between? I'm just so curious. I'm so sorry. I have you here in the hot seat. I'm like everyone, all the actors out there were like, ask her. You said they find a character or something that suits them. Do you, when we come to you, if somebody comes to you and wants to be coached by you, which I hope all of you look into it. Diana's amazing. She's gorgeous. Such a beautiful
Exactly.
soul. And Valeria has worked with her and just loved it. Do you then help them out? Like, do you then look at them, see how they are, how they, carry themselves kinda, and you assist them in picking out the roles and picking out kind of the type?
Yeah.
Do you do that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get to know them a little bit, especially if they're younger. I have to kind of loosen them up a little bit because maybe they're intimidated or they are nervous, and of course some of them are not trained. So, and I do have quite a collection of monologues and material with me, so I kind of, in getting to know them, get a sense of maybe the type of material that they should be working with,
That's beautiful.
something, that's because you want you want it to match kind of who they are. And especially if they can find, and I can help them find new material that's not overdone, so that they're actually speaking these words, hopefully, that maybe rarely people have heard. So they're looking at them and listening differently rather than listening like, ugh, this monologue again. I mean, I because you don't want people to be confused by, it's like, oh, he doesn't look that type, and yet he's chosen that monologue. So what's off? Like, you have to help people along the way. You have to help them file you, so that when you do leave, they're kind of like, oh, okay, all right. Not right for this project, but if I ever need a so-and-so, I'm going to call him. You have to help people out, I think, a little bit.
This is amazing what you're talking about, because everyone, if you're listening or watching us, this is exactly how good marketing is. Like, if you show a little bit, something new, it's going to be special because of you, who you are, yet you're not going opposite of your character totally, because if you do that with good marketing, you do something new, but not too much, because people, we love repetition, and we love seeing things, again and again and again, and then we feel safe. That's where we start feeling safe. So if you do that, and what Diana would help you with, which is beautiful, she would exactly help you to find that, yet at the same time, it is not too often been seen, or so that's amazing, because that really does help also those that are watching, as you said, to go like, okay, wow, there was something there, it was new, because it is then that human being, and we're all different, and that beautiful soul. At the same time, it's not too off, which makes them feel like, that's okay, I don't know what to do with that. That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, you have to help. You have to help them bring their voice out. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, that's what I wanted to say. It's about bringing their voice out, which is very good. It's from inside out. So it's there's strong features that need a bit of nurture and bringing inside out, exactly like that. You don't want them to become someone else, right? So it's like to find the right fit for them. And this is very helpful, because a lot of people, I think, and we can see it like performers, all of a sudden they assume a completely different identity, and sometimes it sticks, it's good, sometimes it throws you off and you don't really trust. And that's then when you lose the trust, that's the trickiest thing, I think, in this industry, because we are very intuitive. We can feel if someone is giving us the not the right energy, not the right vibe. So it's beautiful. It's very important.
So that
Yeah,
is. I'm sorry. You say, please, Diana.
No, I was gonna the brand, back to the branding.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
word, the
That's-
word branding. It's that to me sounds like it's like working from the outside. I mean, if we're gonna attach the two here, Valeria, the inside out. The branding is, almost like you're. When I hear that, I think of like archetypes. Okay, I'm the middle-aged housewife. I'm the young professional. I'm the dumb athlete. I'm the like all these sort of archetypes, right? And I think maybe in the commercial world, it's kind of good to have a handle on what category you might be in, and you can be in many. Because when it comes to doing headshots and all those other things for commercial work, it's it helps you. What am I going to wear? If I'm the young professional, I'm going to wear something with a collar. But I think working from the inside is who are you? Where do you fit? Is the more important conversation. Because that's where your voice is really going to come out. And yeah, you have to do that stuff on the outside as well, but that I think is the more organic way to find your type, right? Or what do you have to say?
It feels like what you're talking about is working holistically, and you help them work like that. So you help them as in, yes, we all have an external appearance, which people then, in a certain way observe you, and they see you and they go like, oh, she's this or that. At the same time, we have this beautiful life inside of us and things that past that we carry our past, even if we want to say like we forget it and we're all zen and we meditate and it's gone. It's not always gone, but at least let me be.
It's never gone.
It's never gone. So you holistically work from the inside out and the outside in, kinda, and you combine it. Am I right?
Yes.
And you make sure that that is aligned, that you're not just putting the outside mark on that human being and going like, oh, you look like that. That's the only thing you're going to do. But you combine both.
Yes, I think it's important to combine both. But I think though that the inside, from when you kind of know what your wheelhouse is and what you can identify with, when you have an understanding of that, so many more layers and deeper complexities that are inside of you. There's just going to be a brighter rainbow coming out than if you lock yourself in because of the way you look,
Now we all want to work with you. we turn into rainbows. I want to turn into a rainbow. Yes. Oh my God. Guys, this is the slogan for Diane. If you're working with her, you turn into a rainbow. I love it. That is gorgeous.
Sounds amazing.
Wow.
And it also doesn't make it this yucky, stuck thing, like when we sometimes as actors, like the branding, you're like, feel like a cow or something. We're like just branded, and you're like, it doesn't feel good.
And we should probably talk about how that changes as you grow older and have more life experience. So yes, that's that's an important conversation.
I would love to hear that. This is very important. Please mention it.
It is. I mean, not just if we put all of the business and acting and everything aside, it's just as people, how do we continue to identify, how do we define ourselves? Because my roles keep changing, there's just more being added. It's the older you get, you're not just
you're sexier, just saying.
Like a wine.
Maybe. I don't feel it, but
Oh, you're gorgeous. Hello.
well, you know what? I will say this about how you identify yourself. And I'm kind of in this transition right now where for so long, for so many years, you identify with how other people define you and how they need you, and the job you have, or the you're a parent, you're a mother, you're a family member, you're a significant other, you're somebody's executive assistant, you're this and that, and then you get spread so thin that you risk losing yourself a little. And I mentioned I'm in a transition. My kids are out of they're in college now, and then I have to things have to shift, and there's a little more air. You would think that I can okay, now I can kind of get back to who I am, but I can't go back to who I was 30 years ago. I was like, well, okay, who am I now? So, I'm in that zone a little bit of figuring out, what do I want to do in this next stage of my life? How do I nurture myself a little bit and feed, where are the gaps in my headspace or my energy, my soul's purpose, and figuring that out is kind of on my plate right now.
But
because sometimes, go ahead.
No, please say. I'm just too excited. Well,
30 years ago, I just so much just want to be an actor. And I am fulfilled by that still. But that's shifted. Like I just look at the role, I look at that, not the profession differently, but how it feeds me. It feeds me differently. And now maybe it's because I've got, more teaching, and it's so rewarding to be in the classroom and see that I'm feeding and providing, inspiring, and I care so much about that. But still, I'm giving to others, right? So, and that feels good and fulfills a part of me. But I still feel like there's something in me that's not, that I'm not tapping into yet. So I'm still defining myself. I'm still kind of identifying or figuring some things out.
Sounds like now is a very beautiful pivotal moment in your life where you're like, because I'm sorry, when you went like the kids are kind of out the house, they're in the, I was like I'm so excited. And I was like, oh my God, that can be a beautiful time. Not that we don't love our children. Oh my God, I love them. They're everything to me.
Yeah.
Everything. At the same time, when you get that freedom, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And
the
at the
freedom,
same time, question.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for them to leave, but there they go, right? And then I kind of was caught up in, where did the 20 years of my life, like where did those 20 years go? And now I'm not so much lingering in that. and I'm more present, and I'm aware that this transition that I'm in, and I've always been very much in touch with transitions, and I don't waste transitions. I think there's, sometimes, that monkey bar theory that, you're holding on to one and you go to grab the other, right? I think what's happening when I'm going to grab the next one is so is very alive in me right now, and I'm not just quickly just jumping to grab another bar. I'm looking back and I'm thinking, where do I go? And I don't know. I just know what this movement in me is powerful in that it's all around kindness, and I need to just be more kind to myself actually right now in this phase.
It's beautiful.
This is
a little off topic.
I love it.
No, this
But
is very on topic. Very on topic. I think it's very important because we are all we are defined by the roles that are attached to us. The older we get, it's, I'm this, I'm that, to those people. But who am I to myself? When I'm coming home to myself, who am I? Because this is the only person you can never lie to. And if you try, that will really get you into a weird journey and can be a very difficult place to navigate. And one of my friends gave me this beautiful, beautiful illustration of how it feels for him. He said that it feels like within all of us there are so many different rooms, and in some of them we are fully inhibit, and we go there regularly, we kind of put everything in order, we light the light, we open the windows, we kind of let the air flow. And there are those rooms that we forget we even have. There are rooms we are too scared to open. There are rooms that we don't even know that are there, they exist. And once we kind of allow ourselves to fully step in there, open them maybe like a little bit, a notch at first, and then just put one step and another one, another foot, and open the window, and then let the sun in, it's all feels so very intense at the beginning because we don't really know what's in there. It's like this potential is endless. We are all endless. We just, it's difficult. It gets so emotional. It gets so intense. I think I feel you because I'm in this journey right now with myself. It's this transition, and it's a very bumpy ride. At times I'm so high and my energy is high and I want all love and compassion. At times I'm scared and I feel like it's too chaotic. I don't know how to navigate this, but it's very powerful. It's very powerful. It's very needed. I wouldn't have it any other way. I think we all need it to kind of tap into this potential. And I know the other side would be different. I don't know yet, good or bad, but really different. And I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for you.
I am
too. Yes. I wanted to ask you about directing, obviously, because you told us that you directed with NIFA. And I want to know, how is it for you as an actor to become director? I'm always so curious. I know that actors are, I wouldn't be afraid to say one of the best directors, I think, because they know how to be on the other side, and they know how to bring the best performance in other actors. So how it was for you, and how did it come about?
I've directed several plays at NIFA at the college, and it was all experiences were just fantastic. I can't say that I went to school for directing. The only directing experience I had was just being an actor and working with really good directors. I think about my college professors all the time, and I was, when I started directing, with the school, or just doing that first play, I had to put myself on the other side of the table here, and so I had some. It was it was kind of exciting to be here. I am as the director, right in the epicenter of the project, and talking to the actors and directing the actors I was not at all worried about that, because I'm an actor and I teach, and so that I knew I could shape the story and get the best out of them. I know that sounds arrogant, but I just knew I that I had down.
Yes, you can.
I had that down. But then it's looking at the creative vision and working with the designers and a stage manager that I had no experience in. But I can communicate what I see. But because I also have such respect for designers, I very much was weighing in, as you should, on their vision. After I kind of communicate how I see it to them coming back in, I loved everything that they would provide or hand me, or the questions that they asked, and a lot of things I did not know, and would say I don't know. I've had excellent stage managers who would help me as well with the process of, I know what tech week looks like from an actor's point of view, but as the director, I was like, all right, okay, so I have to, that's my decision. Okay. All right. I'll think about it. I'll let you know. Like I had to, kind of learn, but it was thrilling and easy because it was fun. But it's a collaboration. Yeah. And that was so exciting to feel like, oh, I've got all these other things weighing in. And, it's like the first time that we actually, you buy an apartment or you buy a house and you have to renovate, and your contractor or architect asks you, okay, what kind of finish do you want here on the cabinets? Do you want gold, brass, brushed nickel, or this and that? And like I don't care. I never thought about it. And then another decision comes to you, and suddenly you're like, I don't know. Oh, and then you feel really strongly about something. You had no idea. You felt really strongly about, about this type of molding. That was exciting. That just to learn, and I felt very comfortable and safe throughout the whole process. I was really, really proud of the final projects. They were all really exciting, and the actors felt proud to be in the shows, and that's that was the success for me. Yes. They were happy to be up there and sharing the story, so it was exciting. I liked it a lot. Do
you want to do more of it in the future?
Yeah, I would like to. I have to like the script. That's important. I have to like the script, and the plays that I've directed, I selected the script. So I was like, all right, I like this story. I can live with it for the next 3-4 months. Let's go. So it has to be a passion project. And working with all the students was really fantastic. So, what are you directing now, Valeria? What are you working on?
We are currently writing a story, actually. Yeah. With Brigitte. I don't know if she mentioned, we are all collaborating together on the project. Yeah. And in the future we hope to be the creative team behind the project. So we want to direct as well. And we want to do it like all by ourselves. Of course, we want to bring other people, but it's something that we feel very protective about the story itself, and that's why I think it's a kind of tricky topic. I really agree what you said about working off other people's ideas. I like the collaborative set, and I realized that straight when we started filming, I was like, I really want to I can see that all those people have all those great ideas, and you know, they have their vision, and I really want to integrate it because I believe that, you know, it will only make the project stronger and the idea more beautiful, because there are multiple perspectives and that it can shape into something else. Yes, this is my story, but then again, you know, it will only benefit from other people's intake. But at the same time, yeah, you get a bit protective. Aren't you? You get like a little bit, this is my baby, this is something that I really have a very strong idea how it should look like. And I think those little choices that you make in the process, so some of it you can, I wouldn't say compromise, that's the wrong word. Some of it you can collaborate on, but other things, you know, they have to stay true to the story, true to you, true to your vision. And that's why I think we decided that we want to bring this project to life.
That's great.
Just as our team. Yeah, but we're exploring other options. Yes,
I work with a lot of writers. In fact, my husband is a screenwriter and a film producer, and I have a nonprofit of a script reading company called The Drawing Board, and we meet for monthly table readings, and we work with writers to find out what they want to get out of the reading, and most times this is the first time they're hearing their script out loud. And we have a large database of actors that we work with. There are 4 of us who host, and we pick our script that we want to do for the month. And we've been 15 years together.
15 years.
Working monthly, 15 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Writers love us. Yeah, it's great to, and I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. I'm scared to write, actually. If you put a blank page in front of me, I'm there's just so many different directions I could go, and I don't know what to do. I freeze. But if you bring someone else's script in front of me, I can read it and find the fat, or maybe, you know, see the structure of it. But I'm intimidated by a blank page. I have great respect for writers.
Oh, me too. Me too. I have 2 questions now. Oh my God, now I'm so like.
Yes.
First, would you be interested in directing a film in the future? Series? Is that something that would interest you?
I think maybe. You know, there's a lot I don't know. The technical elements of it, I don't know. But I'd be open to it, to learning, of course, you know.
Yeah, but I think there you can use exactly what you said before, which I thought was beautiful, is you learned by doing. You asked others. When you couldn't do it, you were very open about it and said, this is something I do not know, or so I would need help. And that's the same with the filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
That you just...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yes.
Yes, the answer is yes.
So the answer is yes. So for all of you gorgeous writers out there, if you have a script, Diana is the one. And
Let's start small.
Let's start small. But that's what I wanted to ask, and that was the second question. If for the writers that are listening to us or watching us, how can they, or can anyone join you guys, join this community that you have, or how does that work?
Yes. You can go to our website, thedrawingboardnyc.com, and we have a breakdown of how you can submit scripts. We don't do anything, we don't stream, we don't, you know, of course we went on Zoom during COVID, but our readings are live, and we typically prefer to have the writer there. So we only share in the room. But sometimes we have an audience of 50 plus people.
You do?
That's amazing.
What we do is we have the writers come together and we read it cold. We get them the script. They have it maybe 10 to 2 weeks, 10 to 14 days before we actually do the reading. And then they come together and cold read. And then we, after the reading, we have a feedback discussion.
Is it selective
really
at all, or anyone can apply? Or do you
Anyone-
select the scripts?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, anyone can submit.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got 4 hosts. So if it's my month, I'm going to pick the script I want to work with, the writer I want to work with, and then I cast it. And then the night of the reading, then we moderate the discussion.
This would have to be, this is
Yeah.
for creatives in your area, right? Because this is
In
live.
New York, yeah.
This is in
Yeah.
New York. So,
Yeah.
and do you have
Yeah.
a theater, or is it, what kind of room are you in, or?
Yeah, we rent a space in Midtown.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a ballroom space called Houghton Hall. And it's like a large ballroom, and we serve refreshments, and it's a very kind of warm group.
Now
very
I have to
inviting.
get to New York.
I was thinking
Yes,
the
you
same. I'm like, I need to
do.
come to New York again.
Yes, yes, you do.
That sounds dreamy.
It does. It sounds, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It really is. Because I know I'm not a writer. I can say the same as you, Diana. I'm not. And I have really respect. And, but that is, I think, something every writer, my friends that are writing, I know they love that. The opportunity to hear someone, or actors, in this case, you have actors, they're reading it, for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah, and our actors they're very talented, and they make very strong choices. So it's great for the writer to hear their script. We like it at the very basic level. So we don't like it if they've maybe produced the whole show somewhere else and they just want to hear it out loud again. Like we like to work with the very beginning stages and kind of just send them off, right? Send them off, go develop, go further, use what you want. This is a great evening. And they may submit again, maybe a different script or the same script, but we rarely, at this point, read the same script again. We used to do that, but we have so many writers at this point who are trying to get their scripts read. That's nice.
Are these for theater, film, or both?
Yes, we do. We do. There's screenplays, plays, and we've also done some pilots and episodic. Yeah.
And do you film it if it's in any case? Do you ever
No.
film or record? No, it's just the live feeling for that writer that they then can make their notes. And how is it as an actor? How can one join your group as an actor? Is it open? Is there auditions? Do you have anything like that?
No auditions. You can also go to the website and submit as an actor. We just need your headshot and resume, and we create then a database for the actors, and we when it comes time for us to cast, we see who's available, and we cast from there.
Okay, and
No auditions.
no auditions. So that is before. So you have gone through that process if you're, before you're in the database, and then okay, with these people you would work, these actors, and then they just are asked in if they have time, or is that the...
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you. It's a great
amazing.
group. It's a great group.
That is
amazing.
awesome. I think it's very important. I had this experience with La Bella Vita when the first time we were reading it out loud. Obviously, because it's a very important and personal project for me, I felt a bit unnerved at first, but it changes everything. Just to hear your own words, the ones that you put on the blank page of paper. Once it's on the blank page on paper, it just looks just like a document, nothing to be scared about, nothing to be too emotional about. But when it's other people reading it out loud back to you, and you're just like the one in the room, like a fly on the wall, listening and seeing what emotions are being evoked in them. Wow, I think that was... I'm speaking about it, and now I have like chills all over my body. It's so important, and especially if you're like just in the early development stage, if it's like let's say a script for a fiction film, and you wrote a bit, and you've got a chance to also pitch it, I think, in a way, and
Mhm.
people are reading it out loud. I think that is just it's a very welcome nudge for you to have this feedback and
Oh,
to
yeah.
work with this. Amazing. It's very inspiring.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No, it really
Congratulations.
is.
Thank you.
Talking about supporting, I can hear you. That is really something, as you said, be kind, coming from the heart, elevating others, holding the space that they feel safe. And I know also that you're very, well, it's important for you, women in the film industry,
Mhm.
if I am correct.
Mhm.
That if you would like to tell us about that.
About how I feel about the journey for women through
Yes, yeah.
through what we do. Well, it's funny that the play that I just worked on, that we were, with the exception of 2 designers, we were all women. What can I say about it? I think that there's, especially female writers, their voices coming out on the page are very profound, and I'm finding that there's more women over 50 who are writing and have more interesting things to say and share, which is great then, because there's more roles for mature actors. I find that the community is so supportive and again, that word nurturing, I think women should be kind to each other.
Yes.
and not
Yes.
not competitive or bitchy in a negative way, right? But in an ambitious way. See what I did there?
Hello, an ambitious way.
Yes. We're all
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's too. I don't care for mean girls, right?
Same here.
That's not a place to. We should have each other's backs, and when you have that productive environment where you're all creating something together, I mean, it's powerful, and that's a wonderful place to work and be in. I don't know what it was I was reading. It might have been a job application. And there was just talk, that I still don't think of women as a diverse group. Why are there's aren't there more women than men in the world
there are.
anyway?
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah.
Kind of can't do it without us, can they? So, I think the creative souls of women are there's a lot we have yet to say,
Amen.
Amen.
Subject matter and the talents that we bring toward it, and our voices are coming out more. That's good. Politically too, hopefully more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have a specific question?
No,
about
I
it?
just love it. I'm like, this
It
is
was
the
kind
way.
of a
This
general,
This
yeah.
was really. It was exactly where I was just hoping you would go. I was like, let's
Yeah.
see, because I know you're very. It's important to you, and it's important to you to
Yeah.
support women.
Of course.
And that's why, and it's important to us, both of us, very much too. And there are so many stories that yet haven't been told, and there are gorgeous women out there that just maybe don't dare to take the first step. And that's what was beautiful listening to when you were talking about the directing, for example, where you said, and there are things I didn't know how to do it, and then I just asked, and it worked out.
Yeah.
Or they came
Absolutely.
to me and said, what about this? What about that? And you were like, oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Thank you. That's why it's also important to have a beautiful, amazing team around you. You won't be able to think about everything yourself. It's just not going to work. It's too much. It's too many hats to wear. So that's why.
And I know this is going to be a generalization if I say this, but if you're ever lost, if you're a stranger somewhere and you don't know where you're going and you're lost, ask a woman, right? I mean, don't. Isn't that just just go find someone. Ask. Odds are we're more. I don't know. More.
I know.
We can be more welcoming and have the answers and might be kinder. And I don't mean to sound like I'm generalizing it so much, but I know odds are.
Yes, it's very accurate. I've recently, it's just reminded me of something. I think it was Reese Witherspoon. It was her acceptance speech of Sam Award, and she was kind of highlighting those moments in the movies where the girl looks over her shoulder to the man and says, and now what? What do we do? Just like, have you ever seen a woman in a crisis situation who kind of positioned herself like that, looks at the guy and asks what to do? This just doesn't exist. No woman would write something like that. That is just completely and out of this world. I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Ask a woman.
It's a red flag that a man wrote something, that and sometimes there can be male writers who they don't see the other dimensions that women are. It's either the again, a generalization, the Madonna or the whore, but it's not. There's just so many more things, female writers can bring out so many more layers that we are complicated, wonderful people. And there's so much more to us than just any type of stereotypes. It's more dimensions to us.
We're that and everything else too in between. We're all of that.
Now we're being ambitious.
Now we're being ambitious.
I love it. Thank you for this moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. This was beautiful.
Thank you.
This was so gorgeous, and I really look forward to seeing your next. I hope I get to see your film when you direct your first film.
Amen.
I'm manifesting here for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Send it out.
Because when
I'll absorb it and send it out.
Take it in. This is all for you. Because when you started talking about directing, you were just like, it was like, I don't know, there's something opened. It was beautiful. It was so, because of that, I could hear like you were combining, all your work that you've done as an actress, all the work you've done as a coach and a teacher when it comes to acting, and then the directing. It kind of feels like it all fits so well together. As you said yourself, because of that, it was, you knew you were fine with the actors. You knew that was going to be fine. And I mean, that is the best directing you want to have is someone that you just know they know exactly how to work with you, and they give you this space, freedom, at the same time, safety and confidence. So it was beautiful. That's just me manifesting a little bit for you.
Ever planting the seed. Yeah. I love this expression. We were quoting you the whole time with our Florence. Let's plant the seed. It's beautiful.
I find that that's carrying with me. So it's not just your class in Florence, Valeria. They like to tease me. Now I have I think there's a couple of students who actually, like to, they have impressions of me, right? Kind of, because I do have a couple sound bites, right? I have let's plant the seed. They're going to plant the seed. And,
but it works. It just conveys the message, and you know what you're talking about. Exactly, precisely.
Yeah. Well, that's I mentioned, talking to the directors, that, you just plant the seed for the actors and let them, come up with it. Then they have more ownership of it. This is my idea, but you kind of just plant it in there a little bit for them to I got an idea. And then they own it, right? You just kind of push it along a little, right? And help them. Anyway.
Diana, thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
Definitely will put in the show notes, all the links, and also to your community, the charity one with the writers. And what did you call the name of it? Sorry, I forgot.
The drawing board.
The drawing board. Yeah.
The drawing board.
That makes
the
sense.
idea being, I wrote the script and heard it and got some advice. Now it's back to the drawing board. And just a little push to help them with their script development. That's it.
Love it. I love it. It's so beautiful. And also, we will, Diana, that you tell us where's the best, like if you want to reach out to you, as writers, actors, directors, it's about coaching, or, how is it best to get in contact with you?
My website, which is dianahenryinc.com. And on there I have a contact sheet. You can reach me from there. Okay. And I'll get back to you. Yeah.
And you also coach online, am I right? You coach both in
I
person?
Coach. Yes, in person and online. Although just because of my schedule, I'm doing a lot more coaching online. So, I can kind of get more done with them. And I find that students are very comfortable for the most part. But there's nothing like being in person. So if anyone wants to meet in person, I get that as well and do that. But yeah,
if you want to hop on a flight and fly to New York, who doesn't want to fly to New York? Hello.
I would take this opportunity.
Me too. Work with Diane, that's for sure.
Well, thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this. I was very flattered. I very much believe in your mission and think that you're both wonderful women and doing great things. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of the podcasts.
Thank you. You don't know how much it means for us. It really warms my heart. I'm sure Eva feels the same, because this is so important. This is something that is. It's just, I don't know, it's like pure love and connection, and it's the beauty of it. And thank you. Thank you for finding the time. Thank you for connecting with us and for having this conversation.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.